But what we saw this year was the beginning of the Farage reform revolt, which I think will just get bigger and bigger. We saw the two old parties struggling to captivate enthusiasm. Yes, Labour won, but we all know it wasn't really a vote of big enthusiasm in Starmer's Labour. And the demise of the British Conservative Party, the demise of the Tories. I think 2024 will come to be seen as actually a seismic election that is ushering in this new era of realigned.
Stay tuned as we dive into the unforgettable moment when Nigel Farage dramatically shifted the course of events live on air, leaving the audience in shock and the presenter scrambling to keep up. It was genuinely thrilling. Trust me, you won't want to miss this recap of one of the most iconic political interviews in recent history. Nigel Farage has long been a polarizing figure in British politics, but his latest live appearance has elevated his reputation to new heights. Renowned for his candidness and bold opinions, Farage found himself in what many viewed as a challenging interview setting, and it was nothing short of amazing.
The election's over. Labour have won. It's a foregone conclusion. That's done. It's over. The question is, who is going to provide opposition? And the Conservative Party will be in opposition, but they won't be the opposition. They hate each other. They're split down the middle. And what we need is a voice in there of genuine opposition and alternative. The Conservatives can't provide that. Reform, if they win seats in Parliament, can.
What sets Farage apart from the rest? His performance in this interview clearly showcased what many see as his greatest strength: authenticity. In a political landscape dominated by rehearsed lines and insincere smiles, Farage's genuine approach is like a breath of fresh air. His responses were not merely scripted, they were rich in meaning, directness, and clarity. He spoke like someone who truly believes in his convictions, and that naturally captured the audience's attention. Farage communicates from the heart rather than sticking to a pre-written script, which evokes a powerful emotional response. Such sincerity is increasingly rare in today's political climate, which is why Farage continues to resonate with so many. People are fed up with empty promises and hypocrisy, and his candid style sharply contrasts with typical political rhetoric, making viewers feel as though they are finally being...
Things can only get worse coming from Labour, but that's pretty much what he's been saying. I'm kind of guessing that psychologically, whilst there will be tax rises in the budget, they won't be quite as bad as we currently fear. I think that's the game that he was playing with that sort of, private Fraser, we're all doomed speech. But it does actually rather sum up his personality, doesn't it? I mean, he seems to have almost no joy in his heart or humour. There is the sort of slight edge of the authoritarian, which comes to the surface pretty quickly and is certainly manifesting itself, if you believe the leak to the Sun newspaper on outdoor smoking this morning. No honeymoon, no joy. But I think the real thing was the speech yesterday in Germany about populism. Snake oil salesman.
The presenter came prepared with tough questions, but what unfolded was a masterclass in political maneuvering. Farage didn't just respond to inquiries, he took command of the conversation like a conductor leading an orchestra. His calm and confident demeanor transformed a potentially contentious interview into an engaging spectacle, showcasing his remarkable ability to stay composed under the weight of criticism. From the moment the cameras started rolling, it was clear that Farage was in control, while the presenter struggled to keep pace, as if trying to catch up with a slippery opponent. The interview reached its peak with a question about his relationship with Donald Trump, a topic many would deem explosive. However, instead of dodging the question, Farage boldly defended his connections with Trump, passionately highlighting the economic and diplomatic advantages of that relationship. He didn't shy away from the criticism, he confronted it head-on, providing compelling examples of how Trump's policies, particularly regarding global trade and security, aligned with Britain's interests. He argued that strong ties between the United States and Britain are essential, and that leaders who prioritize national interests deserve respect.
Nice try. I was just gently teasing, that was all. Invest, invest, invest is what we heard at the start of this budget speech, and I thought, yes, that's what we need, absolutely. Not just the big multinationals that come to smart conferences, But equally, hundreds of thousands of people putting their own risk capital into startups, into new businesses. But no, this invest is going to be done by the Chancellor on our behalf. Not just a top economist at the Bank of England, but she's now going to be the fund manager of the nation, investing money and trying to pick winners. And I would suggest the last time governments attempted back in the 1970s to invest money and pick winners, it ended very badly indeed. I will give way.
As Farage continues to showcase his exceptional leadership skills, an increasing number of people are starting to view Reform UK as a genuine alternative in the political landscape. With each election cycle, the party has made remarkable strides, gaining more seats and boldly challenging the traditional dominance of Labour and the Conservatives. This is not merely a passing trend, it's a powerful movement, with Farage leading the charge and inspiring people to seek change. In comparison to Starmer, Farage faces significant challenges, but that only amplifies the importance of his achievements. His successes starkly reveal the weaknesses of his political rivals, particularly Labour leader Starmer. The contrast between these two leaders is striking. While Farage tackles difficult issues with confidence and clarity, showcasing his determination and charisma, Starmer often appears disappointed. This dynamic creates a battleground where Farage truly excels, while Starmer struggles to find his footing in the shadows.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I think we have to give credit to the Chancellor for a budget that, in terms of political presentation, was very, very clever. I think the SNP have had an absolutely rotten day. I think the decision to put money into potholes was clever. The fuel duty-frees, very, very welcome, especially for those living in rural parts of our country. But for me, the big one, of course, is the 1p a pint off draft beer, which I've worked out will save me over £1 a week, so I'm particularly thrilled with that. But economically, I sat listening to the numbers thinking this budget is illiterate. I don't know who's doing the sums, whether perhaps it's the Right Honourable Member for Hackney North, but the sums do not work. And the markets now agree with me, because just in the last couple of hours, we've seen a very substantial spike in gilt yields. We're not quite yet back to 2022 with that mini budget, but clearly people are saying this isn't going to work.
One of the most thrilling moments of this interview was the dynamic between Farage and the presenter. While the host attempted to dominate the conversation with rapid-fire questions and sharp accusations, Farage remained completely unfazed. When the discussion shifted to controversial topics, he showed no hesitation or uncertainty. Instead, he boldly engaged in the conversation, transforming every potential attack into a chance to showcase his confidence and expertise. The more the presenter pressed, the calmer Farage became, creating a striking contrast. His ability to maintain composure and dissect the presenter's arguments in real time displayed a level of control that few politicians can rival. Farage's success in this interview is not just a personal victory, it marks a significant advancement for his Reform UK party. The party has been steadily gaining traction in recent years, and this interview only reinforces its position as a powerful force for change. For many voters, UK reform signifies a break from the status quo, and Farage's readiness to tackle tough issues, from immigration to economic policy, resonates with those who feel overlooked by the mainstream parties.
Maybe one or two members of the House ought simply to grow up, but there we are. It's a bit sad. And I've worked in private business myself, and I do wonder, I do think picking winners is wrong. I think we leave this to the free market, and we let people either make money or we let them lose money. And frankly, if they do their dough, well, that's just the way these things work. Any business employing 5 or more people has today been hammered. And I make the point that I've set up companies and run companies. Nobody on the front bench has ever worked in private business. Nobody on the front bench understands what genuine risk capital is. Our business secretary, from what I can make out, has never even had a job. But the most dismal part, no, I've had plenty of jobs. Well, apart from being in the European Parliament, which doesn't really count, obviously. But I got to tell you, What is dismal about this budget is the growth forecast.
His tendency to sidestep controversial issues is deeply disappointing to many voters, leading to increasing doubts about his ability to lead effectively. Farage's unapologetic style only serves to emphasize these shortcomings, and this dynamic is becoming more evident to the public. As Farage's popularity rises, Starmer's apparent indecision strips him of valuable support, creating a sense that he is losing ground. The response to Farage's interview was nothing short of overwhelming. Across social media and in political circles, there is a unanimous consensus. It wasn't just an interview, it was a pivotal moment that shifted the landscape. Supporters viewed Farage as a leader unafraid to express his views and defend his positions, while even his critics acknowledged his skill in confidently managing the audience. It was a moment when Farage truly shone, and his confidence inspired many, leaving others in the shadows. See you next time.